outrageous stories with the Angry Ninja, and ever so often, a special guest. Alright, time for another outrageous story with the Angry Ninja. So, a little background for the story. You have to understand time frame. This was 2002, 2003, right in that general area. I made the mistake and got married kind of young to the totally wrong person, and things didn't work out. I just came home from work one day and gone. Walk in the house is empty. I'm like, her car's gone. I'm like, well, she said to be dinner, so, open the oven, look inside, no food, it's not warm, checked it, warm, no food in the fridge, and she's nowhere to be found. Oh, we don't have, there's cell phones, but we only have one, so I couldn't really call. I didn't know where she was, so I couldn't call her. She didn't have her own cell phone. We kind of swapped it back and forth because they're expensive at the time. Again, time frame. So, tracking down, find her. She's like, look, I just need a couple days, blah, blah, blah. A couple days turned into divorce. She comes back to the house the next day and sits on the couch, and she comes in and she's like, look, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I need to move on, and we've been married 8 months, right? Need to move on, what? And all this stuff, and I was like, she's like, I'm like, are you messing around? Are you cheating on me? And he's like, well, I'm not cheating on you, so I'm leaving you. I'm like, so you've already left me for a person. So, in 8 months, you found somebody else. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and who is this person? And she's like, well, it's my dad's former cellmate. Yeah, that's real winner. Her dad came to visit her because he was homeless and met up with his old cellmate, and 15 years older than his daughter, who went to prison for murder, got out in 10 years because it was manslaughter. Yeah. So I'm up with that guy. That's who she leaves me for. Real stand-up guy. This awesome part of that story is, so she's telling me this, right? And I start hearing a car horn honking. I'm like, am I holding something up? She goes, oh, well, he's in the car. He wants to go. So I'm like, you came to the house I paid for, because she wasn't working or putting any money towards nothing, to tell me you're cheated on me, basically, and you're leaving me, and the guy you're looking for is in the car. The guy you apparently spent last night with, because you weren't with me, is in the car. And she goes, yeah. And I go, yeah. I said, you probably should go before I kill him. And that's when I got up and went outside, and she beat me to the car, and she took off. Okay, so it's over. I'm utterly depressed. I didn't think anything was going to happen. I decided I don't need such a big house. I talked to my landlord because they own several properties. Literally, they own every house in the street and block. And I'm like, you have a smaller one that's a little bit cheaper. And it's, because I don't need a big 2-bedroom house anymore. I'll take the little, much smaller 2-bedroom trailer because it's cheaper and that's all I need. Because it's just me now. And so I move. And they're real cool about it. So I move in there, and side note of the story, important, comes up later. My landlord's a cop. That's what he does for a living. He's a policeman. Okay. Now, I live in a really small town. Not a lot of people in it. Everybody knows everybody kind of plays. Not so much anymore, but at the time, everybody knew everybody, especially the police. And my wife drove a 1985 Chevy Celebrity. This is important. Her car was a piece of crap. We knew it was a piece of crap. It needed brakes, needed tires, needed basically a new engine. We were actually saving up money to buy her a new car rather than fix up that one because it just wasn't worth it. Okay, that's important too. So, I'm just sitting in my new place, chilling, and I noticed a cop car pull up in my driveway, and a very long driveway. So by the time the cop car pulls up, I'm already at my door, kind of waiting. Front door open, screen door shut, because I don't know why I place crap in my house. And then they get out, and now this is where the scary part happens. It's not just the cop; it's the cop with a dude carrying a Bible. I don't remember if it was a reverend or it wasn't a priest. Pretty Baptist community. Probably is a Baptist preacher. Whatever. And in this town, that only happens for one reason. And it's never a good reason. My mom lives in this town. My grandparents live in this town. I'm flipping out. So at this point, I just stand by the door. I'm like, maybe they're in the wrong address. Maybe. Okay. I'm just gonna chill. I'm just wait right here. Calm down, catch my breath. Cool. So there's a knock. We gotta knock the door, and I'm like, I'm there. So they don't really knock. They're getting right. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. I'm like, sir, we're willing to give you a ride. We need you to come down to the hospital, and we need you to identify a body. And I'm like, okay. Not ever what you want to hear. Ever. And I'm like, okay, do we have any idea, like, is it my mom? And they said, all we know for sure is the vehicle was a 1985 Chevy Celebrity. They didn't say 85, they said a gray Chevy Celebrity. I knew the year, they didn't. And I'm like, oh. And they go, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, good. Is the bitch dead? And the cop behind the priest, or reverend, just kind of starts laughing. He's just like, the priest goes, excuse me? I'm like, that's my soon-to-be ex-wife's car. Give me good news, save me money on a divorce. And at this point, I think the cop's going to fall over and die. And the priest is like, I'm talking to the wrong person, aren't I? I'm like, kind of talking to the right person. But yeah, he goes, no, there wasn't a female in the vehicle. I'm like, oh, okay. So it was her boyfriend. And he's like, I guess so. I think I should probably talk to her. Do you know where she's at? And I gave him the address. And they left. And I'm like, bah, good riddance, whatever. And I'm sitting there watching TV at that point going, well, that sucks. And at the time, not so much anymore. I've become a better person. At the time, I'm like, that's what she deserved, fuck her. So I'm sitting there watching TV, and I have that cell phone, because I was paying the bill, so I kept it. And it rings. And I'm like, I answer, because I don't recognize the number. This is before caller ID was so prevalent, and gave you the name of the person, even though I answer it. And it's her. I'm like, this. She's like, hey. She goes, I've been sitting here thinking, that love I said I had for you, and I lost it, but I still loved you. Hey, yeah. She goes, I think I found it. I think I love you. I'm in love with you. Look, we work things out. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I never meant to ever get divorced. I wanted to be married forever. And she's like, yeah, my brother was in a car wreck, and he's being airlifted to Chattanooga. I was just wondering if you can give me and my dad a ride down there, and then I'll come back to your house, and we'll talk things out. Oh, okay. I know he's dead. She goes, excuse me? I'm like, well, cops came by, and they wanted me to come to the hospital to identify a body, and they said the only identifying mark on his head, because his head was crushed, was the word Mitch. I know your boy Mitch died. So, well, yeah, and that's what got me to thinking about how good you treated me, and I just want to work things out. I go, tell you what, you answer this question honestly, and maybe we can talk. And I said, if he hadn't died, would you have ever made this phone call? Now, I fully expected her to go, well, yeah, in line. Because it would have been a lie. And she goes, no, probably not. I said, cool, click. Hung up. Haven't talked to her since. And this is the really crappy part about that whole story. first we'll get the car wreck, because that's just great. And then we'll talk about the Krabby Patty. So, her genius man she left for is a career criminal, but not like a good criminal. He's a horrible criminal. And he and her brother needed gas for the car, which they couldn't afford to pay for, and they wanted some beer. So they drove a town away. That's smart, I guess. Don't do it in the town you live or you're staying. And went to a convenience store, filled up the gas tank, went in, grabbed a 12-pack of beer, ran back to the car, and took off. We're talking about an under $50 crime, because the gas at the time was insanely cheap. Not anything any cop was flipping out about, right? But of course, the clerk calls the cops, so they report it, that kind of thing. So a cop just going towards there with the lights on, no siren, chilling. They saw that cop, and rather than just drive normally, panicked because they're horrible criminals and took off. The cop estimated, because the cop's landlord got to hear the story, like 90 miles an hour. Where I mentioned the car needed tires and was a piece of crap and needed brakes. This is important to do. They had a blowout. Dude wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Front tire blew out. Car turned sideways, flipped in the air, and he got thrown out of the vehicle and landed apparently 100% basically unharmed. Bruised and scratched, but not bad. And then that's when the car landed, and the trunk literally landed on his head. I never got to see it, but supposedly, if you went and looked at the trunk, you literally could see the impression of the dude's face in the car. Not like cartoons, but you can see the dent. That was where his head was. And I'm like, huh. And brother guy's leg messed up, and they got him all fixed up. He's fine. He actually ended up becoming a better person. That one trip into crime made him decide he needed a better family and move on, and he did. But yeah, if you're gonna be a criminal, be smart. Don't rob beer and gas and think the police are gonna pursue you so much that you have to do 90 in a car that shouldn't go over 40. But the funny part about that is since he died, she decided she didn't want a divorce anymore and refused to sign the paperwork that she initially asked for. So I ended up having to pay an additional $500 to get divorced because she refused to sign the paperwork because she wanted me back. Even though I found out later she cheated on like 18 different people. And I want you to concentrate on that number. I had a confirmed list of 18 different people she slept with. Some of them were my friends. At least I thought. We were only married 18 months. That's more than 2 a month. And that wasn't counting the guy she left for, so 19. And in case you're wondering, yes, I got tested for STDs. All of them. Every one of them. Yeah, because, wow, she was a hoe. And yeah, but now things are better. Things are so much better. Life is better. So, if you come home from work and your wife's supposed to have dinner waiting for you, because she told you, not because you should expect it, and it's not there and she isn't, hope the dude gets hit by a car. And that's the moral of this story. A little outrageous, but I'm not smart enough to make this kind of stuff up. I'm just not. And to this day, I'll never forget the look of that preacher's face when I said, is the bitch dead? That was awesome. You guys have a wonderful night. Talk to you later. Bye. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It's all part of the Ninja Podcast Network with all the shows featuring Ask the Angry Ninja Show, Not a Kid's Game, presented by the Angry Ninja, which is our D&D podcast, the Ninja News and Politics Show, Sports Talk with the Ninja and J-Mo, and our newest podcast, Outrageous Stories with the Ninja, featuring occasional special guests. Great shows, great stuff. If you want to reach any of us, you go at asktheangryninja@gmail.com. You can reach us on Twitter at cman2342. You can get us on Facebook on the Ask the Angry Ninja Show Facebook page. Any of those places, if you want to support us, we appreciate that. Go to patreon.com/worstjokes. And if you join high enough tier, you'll get a free gift. And we just appreciate any support and feedback. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll holler at you later.